Hello and welcome to what could be a small, cozy place to hide away in the bigger, dark forest of the internet. Very spooky, I know. This video is about the dark forest theory of the internet. We are going to talk about why being online might feel both comforting and uncomfortable depending on where you are in the internet. And we are also going to talk about aliens, AI, scammers, and finally what an option might look like to help feel better both on and offline. So, to help us get through the dark forest, we will need a map, or in our case, 2 maps. They are going to be found in this rather chic little book. This is the Dark Forest Anthology of the Internet. It is a collection of writing on the dark forest theory, and there's 2 important visuals in here that we're gonna use to make our way through the very haunted world of the internet, dark forest. So, are you ready? Do you have your coffee? Do you have your wits about you? Good. Because we're gonna jump right in and begin with aliens. Aliens. Have you ever looked at the vastness of space and thought, it looks very empty? Doesn't it look very empty? Hello? Where is everybody? Are we the only life in the universe? Where is everyone else? You could come to the conclusion that we are alone and that there is nothing else. Or there is an alternative idea which says that just because a forest is quiet doesn't mean that there's no animals. In fact, if a forest is quiet and the birds have stopped chirping and you don't hear anything, it could be a sign that there is a predator in the area. So to watch out. Similarly, the universe seems quiet. Maybe that is a hint that there is life out there. It's just wisely choosing to be quiet to avoid hostile aliens. Perhaps we, human beings, should not be waving our hands saying, we're here, come get us. So, the dark forest theory is often credited to Xizhen Liu, or in China, Liu Xizhen, who wrote The 3-Body Problem, which is a work of science fiction. A work of science fiction which pretty much says that there are aliens. Those aliens are just very hostile, and that everyone else is staying quiet, and we should probably stay quiet as well. So, how does that relate to the internet? It's quite interesting, actually, in its application. For starters, the internet is quite vast, like space, like a giant forest. And for some people, they go online Your basic online, you just get on. And there is a struggle to find stuff that looks like real, authentic human life. There's a struggle to find that. Instead, you find AI summaries, you find clickbait articles, you find advertisements, scammers, influencers who are selling you stuff, etc., etc., etc. And if you look a little bit closer, you start to see where people, real human people, are actually hanging out. And it's not in the big area you think they're going to be, like the mall. It's in these little cozy pockets, more like a cafe than a mall. And there, they are talking and living authentically. You might find that people have moved from Facebook to very strange, smaller sections of the internet, like Discord, or Twitch, or this YouTube video. It's quite interesting. The idea, the story about the internet is as follows. The early internet, once upon a time, the big internet, which is called the clear net, or the clear web, meaning you can see in, you can access it, it's clear, it's open. That, by its very nature, was cozy. Once upon a time, people didn't have to run and hide in the small parts of the forest. The whole thing was very cozy. And in fact, a lot of people who used the early internet remember it being quite cozy and comfortable. I like to think about it as the early internet being a place where an individual like you or me would walk in, and it's the Wild West, and you kind of build your house. You build your house and you decorate it. So you start a web page, you start your own blog, you wave to your neighbors who are also there, and your neighbors are freaks. That's the thing. Your neighbors are weirdos, but it's fascinating. Here's a blog about indoor gardening. Here's somebody's webpage about different types of graveyards and coffins. Here's somebody else's website showing vintage Japanese fashion. It's the early internet, baby. There's chat rooms. Oh, is there chat rooms? You can go chat to anybody, for better or for worse. It's quite interesting and exciting, but this did not last. The reality of having fun in the forest with all your friends did not last. It is as if Facebook and platforms like it came on the scene and convinced us all to abandon our houses that we had decorated and move into a giant apartment complex with white walls and cheap furniture. Then they locked the doors and they raised the rents. That is a way that you could think about contemporary internet use and the rise of social media platforms instead of web pages and community forums and chat rooms. Increasingly, Twitter has become politicized, Instagram commercial, and Facebook is, if it's an apartment complex, it is overrun with mold and rot. Absolute, oh my gosh, scammers galore, fake content, period. You know, the rest. Tumblr became useless. Pinterest, still cool, and yet it contains a ton of ads and links to the same kind of products that everywhere else has, as well as receiving the trickle down from TikTok and elsewhere. So, taking up space on these platforms can feel not fun. Everything is kind of a bid for your attention, and I think a lot of people just scrammed. They left Facebook, and now all kinds of new things take up room. You can see why the dark forest idea has some appeal. Because why hang out on Facebook when you can seek refuge in smaller, more intimate, more authentic, and less surveilled, more private places like Discord channels, a specific YouTube channel, hopefully this one. Some of those places can feel more like real, embodied life than other areas of the internet. You and I are enclosed somewhere in this system where we are experiencing an exchange, and at this day and age, you can be sure I am not AI and I am a real person. That's great. So we do, though, watch out for predatory advertisements. Next door to me is probably an influencer who is selling you Squarespace while filling up a pool full of shrimp and filming it, or eating an entire pound of salmon in 60 seconds, or giving away a Tesla to whoever can stay locked in a metal box underground for 30 days. That type of thing. Next door to me on the other side, though, is probably somebody making a YouTube channel about how to grow tomatoes, or the specific bone structure of the mole, the shrew, and the whale. Somebody else is hyperfixating on playing games and streaming games. All kinds of stuff that's pretty real and raw, and you can learn anything. There's a history nerd talking about the history of Greek philosophy, or what have you, whatever you need, what bread the pioneers ate. Fantastic. That is more of the Wild West that I expect from the internet. When we zoom out, though, we see that the internet in general is kind of a mess, and quite commercialized. So this YouTube channel may even not be private enough. You might have to go to a Discord server of like 12 people to really feel like you can say whatever you need to say. But that brings us to a potential problem. And that is, when you run from what is kind of a mess, mainstream internet society, and you find that it feels good to go into a subgroup, you can develop into what is called a mimetic tribe. This is something that probably many of us have experienced. When you get really into a niche part of the internet, you will develop your own language, and members may start to surveil and police each other in a similar way that was experienced in the mainstream culture. For example, one of my favorite stories to tell is of a small Facebook page for a small, conservative, tiny town in Northern California, where where they complain often about the influx of Democrat feminist leaf eaters into their neighborhood, and they love beef, and they rally around the symbol of beef. Do you eat beef? No. You are probably a Democrat, and we don't want you here. Now, God forbid, some member of that group wants to be vegetarian, or cares about the environment, or just doesn't like the taste of beef, and actually likes tofu. That might be a problem. These things don't have to be partisan. You can find yourself in a group that's just, culture tends to get freaky when you isolate it from the world. You can trap anything in a jar and it will start to panic and freak out and act differently. So sometimes you can find that suffocating. For example, I found Instagram a little bit suffocating and not fun shortly, I don't know, maybe 2022, when I realized that it was just, there's a right way to post and a wrong way to post, and everything is very heated and very tense. That gives me pause. It makes me feel like I want to slow down, and naturally, quite frankly, I drifted away from that into YouTube and into Substack, where conversations don't have to be as mimetically in-group and out-group dynamic. That makes sense. That brings me to my last point in the dark forest. In the dark forest theory of the internet, there is the clear net, the internet where people go to take a breather from that, and sometimes when even the cozy web gets too much, there is an exit sign. There's just an exit sign. In the book, metaphorically, that is chapel perilous. A chapel. A place that soaks up exiles, people who have been kicked out or made uncomfortable or run away from their very small insular in-group on the internet, and have decided to, because they could not transform, you can't grow in that type of environment, you've run away to go grow somewhere else, and to allow yourself to interact with people who are different from you, but are interested in respecting you and getting to know you. So, chapel perilous in this metaphor is a place you can go to touch grass, breathe again, and liberate your identity and your thinking so you can come to potential new conclusions. The way that might look is going to a different part of the internet again, just kind of moving around, not allowing yourself to be trapped in one little subgroup or another. Or it also might look like logging off, just saying peace out and going outside to talk to a real human being at the bus stop who has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with you at the same time. So, chapel perilous. To go there when all of it, even the cozy web, feels so suffocating and treacherous. Chapel perilous as a place to go is an invitation to maybe leave and go build new connections with real people in real life. Or, if you want, new connections with digital people, but from a place of care and empathy and really listening to somebody else's experience that is different from yours. In the meantime, I think a lot of us are hiding out from mainstream internet and enjoying many features of the cozy web, enjoying newsletters, emailing people, reading Substacks, watching videos, creating videos, and hopefully balancing that with kind of IRL community and making friends and all that kind of thing. So I think Chapel Perilous as a metaphor has a lot to offer us as maybe the way forward healthily on and offline is embracing flexibility of identity, embracing empathy, and investing in what is good, not just for yourself, but for others as well, which is going to mean avoiding the hellscape that is Facebook and everything that is, the scammers and the bots. Unreal, completely just unreal to watch and witness how that turned out. So that is the dark forests theory of the internet. There are so many nooks and crannies and angles to analyze that from. I recommend this book if that interests you. It is more theoretical, but I found it very entertaining and interesting. I thank you so much for being here with me on the internet. I really enjoy it, and I appreciate you taking the time and supporting me and being so welcoming and positive. I've had a great time on the internet. More fun than I've had on the internet in a long time. And that's really good to see that is still possible. So, thank you so much. I hope that wherever you are, day, night, digital, IRL, that you are finding some peace and some relaxation, and that you have some, rest of your mind, of your body. And I will see you very